That's the only word I will be saying in
It
Portuguese.
is blinking. It is.
Is it blinking? Okay, good, very good.
You're
All
okay,
right.
man.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
ready? Okay.
Não?
Um,
Então.
hello? You guys all have, do you all have the headphones, or some listening to the English? Who's listening to the English, just so I know? Okay, good, and some people have headphones, all right. I'm from New York originally, so I speak extremely fast normally. I'll slow down a little bit if I can, right? So maybe let's close these doors if we can. Great. And I give you guys all the power today, including my director, Guy. If I'm going too quickly, you could just do a little like this, right? It's a universal sign for calm down, right? Okay.
Yeah, the blood.
So you guys have been to other technology companies? Okay, which ones? Google?
eBay, PayPal.
Good, okay. All right, so some of the good ones, right? Okay, very good. Okay, so, and you just did a tour of the gallery, right? Okay. So what I'm going to do, my name is Bill O'Connor. I'm in the strategy group here at Autodesk. Is this speed okay? Okay. And so I'm in the corporate strategy group for Autodesk. And some of my other jobs is that I am the main speechwriter with and for our CEO, Carl Bass, our Chief Technology Officer, Jeff Kowalski, and the head of strategy, John Pittman, who's my boss, right? So I do speeches with those guys. I also edit an internal journal, thought leadership journal, called the POV, or Point of View. And among other like thought leadery type things, I'm also the founder of this Innovation Genome project. I don't know how that translates, Innovation Genome. We'll try it, right? Genomio, Opa. We're just going to default back to that. So my role in general is in the strategy group, but I am also the founder of this project. Yeah, there's a seat down here if you want. Yeah, called the Innovation Genome Project. And I will be presenting that today. Who's interested in innovation? Anybody? Okay, good. I've never had anyone say they weren't. Who's not? Me? No, I don't like it. Everyone says they are, at least, right? Okay, so I'm going to talk about the Innovation Genome Project in particular, and I'm going to talk about innovation in general, and a bit about Autodesk's perspective on innovation. So I think I'm going to talk, do we have an hour? 1 hour? Right? Who's keeping the time?
Yeah, not really. We have about actually 35 minutes.
Okay. Oh boy. Well, I will talk slowly, but leave things out maybe. Okay. So you guys have to leave at about what time?
4 to 4.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, I was going to say, so that won't leave really time for questions and answers. But my email is at the end of the presentation. If you guys are interested, shoot me an email, and I will respond. I'd like to introduce Guy, who is not only from Brazil, but one of the Innovation Genome researchers, and he's here to heckle me and to tell me how I'm doing. Okay, you guys ready to start? Can you guys all get, is this coming through, right? Okay, okay, good, okay. Okay, I'll see if this translates. So, public service announcement, does that translate? It's kind of a joke, so, all right, ready? So, how to tell if an innovation guru, do you guys know what this is, guru, an expert, is Ibnu. Now, who's heard of Ibnu before? Nobody, because I made it up. No, you can't have heard of it. Here's what Ibnu is. Interesting but not useful. Get it? So many people, I'm an innovation expert, right? Interesting but not useful, okay? That's kind of how I started doing this work. This drives me crazy. You guys are spending your time thinking about innovation, and usually when someone gets up here, they're very interesting, but there's nothing useful. My goal is to always be useful to you, and I hope you'll let me know if I am useful to you. This is not good enough to me. It's not good enough just to be interesting, right? Here are the 10 cliches. Cliche translates? This is the words that innovation gurus say. Do you recognize any of these? Right? Culture of innovation, innovation pipeline, connect disparate ideas, an innovation parable. Who knows? Raise your hand if you've seen some of these before. Okay? All right, now everyone who's seen them but didn't raise their hand, raise your hand. Because you guys have seen these, right? Okay. You've seen them, right? Yeah. So this is what they talk about. Who's heard this one? Reward failure. Take risks, right? You know, all of that stuff. It's all fine, okay? But it's also Ibnu. It's interesting but not useful, in my opinion, right? So, this is talking around innovation. This is not talking directly about innovation. So what I'm going to try to do for you guys is not to be ibnu. I want to be this. I want to be interesting, but also really useful. Does that translate? Okay. I don't know how to pronounce that, Ibaru or something, right? But I say this just to let you know that I'm not just up here to talk. I'm up here to try to give you some practical tools for innovation. It's drawn in part from, do you guys know anything about Autodesk?
What's the name?
Autodesk, the company. Yeah, we have 17 million customers around the world, and they cannot just talk about being innovative. They have to do it in the building industry, in the manufacturing industry, in the entertainment industry. If they are not innovative, they're in trouble. So part of all of this stuff is drawn from the fact that at Autodesk is like at the crossroads of a lot of innovative companies, right? So we try to keep a real practical approach. Okay, so let's get started. Innovation Genome Project is a project at Autodesk. This is how innovation, who's read an article about innovation recently? All right, come on, let's get the hands up. I know you've read it, so come on. This is California, you can be casual, right? All right, I know you all have. It's a rhetorical question, right? So we've all read, and everyone's so excited. Here they are, right? You've seen this, there's books. Autodesk has been in the top 50 for Fast Company. I don't know why. I don't know what it means. It's the cool companies club, right? So there's all of these books. Most of them to me are ibnu. They are interesting, but they are not useful. Who's ever read a book around innovation? Anybody? Okay, right? Books, articles, and everything. Who's this? Now, what? Come on. He's the best and the worst person to learn about innovation from. You know what I mean? He's good because he was a genius and a freak of nature at innovation. He's brilliant at it. But he's also terrible because he was so naturally good at it. If you read just books about Steve Jobs, I wonder if this will translate. I call it innovation pornography. You got it? You know why? It's not you doing it. It's somebody else, okay? This is fine, but it's innovation porn. You're reading about Steve Jobs. What about you? Don't you have to be innovative? Aren't your bosses or your customers telling you to be innovative? You can't just read about him. I've read multiple books on him. You guys probably have too. This is not enough. We need more than just the sort of famous innovators. Two gentlemen, high IQ, running large organizations, right? High powered, running the US and China. I am an Obama fan. I like Obama, but he does not know what innovation is. He doesn't know what it is, in my opinion. He thinks it's about jobs and that innovation just creates jobs. We all know it also destroys jobs, right? So he's great. He has some programs. China has some other issues with innovation, as you can probably guess, right? There's pirating, there's copyright stuff. But even beyond that, with the legal stuff, they don't quite grasp what it really is. So at this point on planet Earth, we have an entire planet, right? Obsessed with innovation, but in my opinion, we don't really know what it is that much or how to do it. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. All right, this is a big wave that is actually near California. Who likes surfing? Anybody? I like to watch it, right? I'm going to give you, how can this guy surf this wave? It's a 65-foot wave. It's right south of San Francisco. He has to have the mindset, the skill set, and the tool set, right? I would get killed immediately. I don't have any of those things. Innovation is like this wave. Innovation is coming at us. It's powerful if you can ride it, but it can crush you if you don't. Especially, who here owns a company? Okay, there's some entrepreneurs here. You know this. This is not a game, right? This is a real thing that you have to innovate, right? So I'm going to try to give you a mindset and skill set, but mostly the tool set. I'll let the other people talk about the mindset, skill set mostly. I want to give you something practical, which is akin to the surfboard, right? All right, we all agree it's important. Do we know what it is or how to do it? Here's my design thing. No, we do not. We don't know what it is or how to do it. Today I'm going to give a brief definition and a few techniques. So what is innovation? It's Latin verb innovare, to renew or change. It's not about new. It's about renew. Raise your hand if you know the difference. You see what I'm saying? The iPhone is not new. It's a smartphone, but it was renewed, right? That stops people from innovating sometimes. I have to do something new. I have a job already. No, you can renew anything. A process, a product. You can renew the work that you're working on today, right? Here's our definition. Innovation, something new or different that you bring into the world that has a significant impact. It's not in the lab. It's not in the notebook. It's not in your head. we have a whole other thing. Who knows invention versus innovation? You guys ever talk about that? Invention is the thing. The innovation is the use. Invention happens up here, and then the world is about innovation. So that's a higher bar. And as you know, there are different skills required for innovation and invention. But we want to make clear, if it is not in the world, it is not an innovation. Right? Okay, here's an external view. Every innovation in the world goes through 5 phases. It starts out impossible. Then it becomes possible, but it's impractical. This is, you can't fly. This is, well, the Wright brothers can fly. There's 3 guys in the world that can do it. Right? Then it becomes newly possible. That's when all the money is made. That's when the careers are made. That's when people get famous and excited and the world changes, right? But here's the problem. Then it becomes expected, then it becomes required. Do you guys get this? This is the problem. So, and the value goes up when you get newly possible, but then it comes down, right? So the problem with the business person is they think that they're over here, and what they're doing is actually here. That's when you go out of business, right? So external view, you've got to start on the left side with ideas. I'm setting up the idea.
In this point, we take
the money.
When the product is required.
Acquired?
We take money in this point.
Yes. Oh yeah. The money and value starts here, but then it goes down. I was a internet professional very early. When I was a web guy, my value was up here, but I knew it would happen. Now everyone's a web guy. Hey, I can make you a website. Would you pay me a lot of money? No, because it's required. It's a commodity. Every innovation becomes a commodity. So that's an external view, but the point is you need ideas. I'm going to keep telling you, you've got to go towards the pure idea stage, and we're going to talk about how to generate something. Internal view, here's what we look at Autodesk, right? How do we get new ideas at Autodesk? This is something we've come up with to really hammer down how we do it. You start with awareness. You're just thinking about ideas. Bio, nano, 3D printing, we're just thinking about ideas. We take one idea, that's the thing, awareness. We take one idea, we start playing around with it. Exploration becomes real. We start making stuff, right? Bad stuff, good stuff, we start making stuff. Then you move into development, that's the work. That's when you sell a product or a service, right? And then, hopefully, the product can go throughout the rest of the organization. Right? Our media and entertainment tools are in the entertainment field, but they're also used in manufacturing. That's an example, right? So look again, where's the value? Ideas, right? If you start over here, and I start over here, you're going to win. Do you see what I'm saying? Because you're going to have better ideas, and you're going to have a wider range, a wider palette to paint from, right? So that's an internal view, right? Here's a personal view. I don't like talking about innovation. Has anyone ever been annoyed hearing about innovation? Is it annoying? Come on, someone raise their hand. You can't all, there we go. I get annoyed by innovation because blah, 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 right? I think it's better to talk about innovative. Why? Because that's about you. See the difference? Your innovative work, your work is the noun. I care about the people in this audience. You're already doing work. I'm here just to say you can maybe make it more innovative. Innovation is this big, almost like a ghost, right? I want to keep it grounded, and again, that's a personal view. So no matter, yeah.
I think we can extend a little bit.
Oh, you can?
About 4 o'clock.
That's perfect.
Okay.
Good. Okay. I'll slow down a little bit. Okay. I'll slow down and calm down. Okay. So, no matter how you look at innovation, right? It can be external, internal, or personal. You guys filming or? I thought they're filming too. Okay. So no matter how you look at it, innovative work requires innovative ideas. I want to make something clear, right? Not every innovative idea becomes an innovation. Most of them do not. But every single innovation requires innovative ideas, right? So it's like a Venn diagram. So this might seem obvious, but then why do all the innovation gurus not help you with generating good innovative ideas, or at least not as many as I would like? So we're going to talk about ways to generate ideas and to prioritize innovative ideas. Okay, first question is how can we generate for innovative ideas? Generate, prioritize, and implement them, right? And again, I'm trying to be as practical as possible. Let's start with generation. Okay, now here, let's say we all lived on a planet where you had to fight and do karate to survive. Does that translate at all? Okay. Which would you rather have? Do you want a book about karate, which is Ibnu, or do you want lessons from the Karate Kid? Who knows this movie? Let's see a show of hands, right? Wax on, wax off, right? Okay? I want to be Mr. Miyagi for you guys. You see the point? This would not help you. If I come at you and you say, karate was invented in 13, you're dead, right? The guy that invented karate, you're dead, right? This is not, most of the books are a history of karate innovation. And I want to give you moves, that you can use right away. Does that parallel work? Most people know the Karate Kid. Okay, so this is the practical side. You want to take a picture?
Yeah.
Here, me with Mr. Miyagi. Wax on, wax off. I'm an Irish Mr. Miyagi. Mr. O Miyagi. All right. I don't know if this is me or this is me. My hair is closer to him. So okay. All right. So I want to be practical for you guys, right? So the Innovation Genome Project, very practical. And theoretical, right? The thing that I started to think about was all of this talk about innovation, we are ignoring something that we've been innovating our ancestors for 2.6 million years. And the idea was, what if we studied that comprehensively? I will bet some best practices could come from that, right? So this is the first innovation that we've ever found. It's a stone hand axe in Africa. I like to think a woman invented it for some reason. Just to be, she was probably cutting open some animal with her hand. And she said, if I bang a rock and make it sharp, probably the husband came home and took credit for it. Right? The husband said, oh, that's nice, honey. Give me that rock. I will take the credit for that, right? My wife would love me saying this right now. This is the first innovation. You might say, what does this have to do with innovation and design today? And I say, design has not changed that much, because look at this. You see? More complicated, yes, but the same basic questions. How does it fit in the hand? How does it extend my capability? This extended human capability in 2 or 3 ways. This extends it in hundreds of ways. But do you see the point? My CEO and I have done speeches where we say the basics of innovation design have not changed that much. Just the complexity. Here's another example. This is a stone hand axe as well, and that's the Shanghai Tower. Who knows the Shanghai Tower? It's going up next year, 2,000 feet tall, one of the most complex structures ever made, right? You see the point here? The person that created this had to think in certain ways to improve capability. The same thing is here. So what I'd like you to think about is 2.6 million years ago to today, there's a sweep or an arc of innovation that's happened. And the goal of the Genome Project is to study it and to look for patterns that are useful to you guys, right? So picture the whole sweep of innovation history. So human genome, right? Who knows the music genome? Basically, it's a way to connect songs so that if you like one musician, the genome says you'll also like this musician. It can tell because they've studied the patterns. So the thought was, why not an innovation genome? Let's study, in this case, 1,000 of the greatest innovations in history, and let's see what it can reveal. Because after all of the innovation authors that would come to speak, guess what? They're not on that list. See my point? The 1,000 innovators that created the most important things, those are the people that I care to look about what skills they had and what approaches they had, right? So this is also a way to get very practical. So we're going to research the most important 1,000 innovations, identify best practices used by innovators, and most importantly, create something that you guys can use. See, that's again, this is intellectually interesting. It is. But this is practical. This is more valuable, I think. So here's some of the research parameters, and Guy actually ran this team. I'm going to go through this at a top level. Time periods, from the cave times all the way to Silicon Valley, and also different types of innovations, right? Everything from technological, scientific, down to creative. We just did this so that we get a balance. Does that make sense? Because we're tech geeks here. Without a balance, it would all be up here, right? But you guys understand, innovation is certainly not confined to technology. And that's why we wanted to make it wider. This is a range of the innovations. Something I want to point out. The internet is an innovation, but you know what else? Jazz is also, right? Real estate is an innovation. The telegraph, but also, for example, the corporation. Cubism. You see what I'm saying? This is a wide view of innovation. And it is not just confined to technology. So that's what we're studying. It's not only more interesting, we found it's richer in terms of creating practical tools. So now what do? Look at the best practices. One of the ways, does Braille translate? Braille, right?
Braille.
Okay.
Braille.
Braille. Braille?
Braille.
Braille. Okay. Opa, Braille. I got 2 now. Okay. I don't think they say Opa Febbraili, right? It's not as exciting, like, hey! Okay, so one of the ways we're thinking is Braille is an innovation. There's 3 levels, right? What did Louis Braille do? Okay, you start. He helped blind people read. All right, how useful is that to general innovators? Not that useful. Go up one level. How did he let blind people read? All right, well, he allowed information to come in through the fingers, right? That's pretty brilliant, right? Versus versus through the eyes. That's pretty good. Still not that useful though, right? It's interesting but not useful. Go up one level. How did he do that? Well, he changed the design and performance of written language, right? He made it 3D, so you can touch it, and he also changed it into new language. It's not cursive, it's not regular, right? So there's something we can use, right? All right, that one innovator changed design, changed performance. Maybe that's a good question that you should have on a checklist. You should just always ask yourself that, right? So we started to see with some of these other things, questions. How do you say questions?
Questões.
What?
Questões.
Questões. Okay, questions, right? I got 3 now, right? Okay. Questões. Opa, braille. Okay. I got 2 again. I lost 1. Okay. So.
To make a sentence with it.
No, I will not. Maybe later during question and answer. So the point here is that the first tool we came up with is the idea that there are powerful, simple questions embedded in all of these innovations. And I'll show you which ones we got. So what's the process? Innovation tool number 1. The 7 essential innovation questions. SEIQ, right? Just to remember it. S-E-I-Q. So here's what they are. This is how we got it. Now you might think fire, democracy, steam power, and Twitter, you might think they don't have a lot in common, right? But they do. They have one thing in common. You cannot make these innovations without a powerful question, which is, what can we look at differently? You see the point? I'm not telling you to try to innovate these things. They're already done. But my point is, what are you working on? What are you working on today? And I've presented this now 150 times. Now I'm more confident. I say, if you are trying to do something innovative and you do not ask this question, it's being foolish. Not if you get what I'm saying here, right? You should, and now we've tested this. I've done dozens of workshops. This is an incredibly powerful question to answer. And you might say, well, we sort of think about that, don't we? No, you don't. Because I've done studies where if you don't ask the 7 questions I'm going to show you, this doesn't come up. Most meetings, people just won't naturally say, people think they're looking at things correctly. That's the interesting thing. They're not. Absolutely, we are not. That's why it sounds like a simple question, but if you use it, it's very powerful. So these have been used for millions of years. You can use them too. Here they are. So I'm going to go through them, right? And I want you to realize something. This is not arbitrary. We had 100 questions. Then we had 64. Then I had 28, 12, 7, 6, and 7. Right? So this is really carefully thought out what these questions are. Okay? And so I'll go through them. And the point is, you need to have an innovation target. Who here right now is working on something sort of complicated? I hope you're all. No, you guys are working on nothing complicated? Are you not listening, or do you have a boring job? I've got to decide. Okay. All right. So I'm sure you all are to some degree. So the point is, you put that thing in the middle, and here's the questions you ask. Right? What can we look at in a new way or from a new perspective? What can we use in a new way or for the first time? What can we move, changing position in time or space? That's a critical one. What can we interconnect in a different way or for the first time? What can we alter or change, like Braille, in terms of design and performance? What can we make, creating something that is truly new? Statistically, this is the least common, because remember what we said before? Innovation is not about new, it's about renew. But once in a while, you get something new. And finally, what can we imagine to create a great experience? So those are the 7 questions, and now I'll give you some examples. Oh, so what I do is I put whatever you're working on in the middle, and I will ask these questions, and the ideas that you get around here are substantively different than the ideas you get just from brainstorming. Who's ever led a brainstorming session here? Okay. Brainstorming is broken. Does anyone agree? Brainstorming is pretty bad. And this is an attempt to give more structured brainstorming. And I've done both. I have lots of techniques for general brainstorming. When I brainstorm about your challenge or your challenge, if I don't use this, I lose ideas. Okay, that's my point. I'm saying, I'm not just throwing interesting questions at you. I'm saying these questions lead to better ideas. Okay, here's an example. Fire, right? This is look. This is when I try to be a little funny, so I'll see if I can do this. Here, ready? We're running away from fire. I'm a caveman. Caveman? Primitive man? It's like, oh, god damn it. Again, like destroyed the camp, right? 2 guys running away, and one person goes, no, you go ahead. I'm going to look at this for a second. And you say, are you nuts? You're going to get killed. And I say, yeah, just go away. And I'm getting burned, and it's, but still, this happened thousands of times. Someone had to say, I don't think this is bad. I think this gives heat, like the sun. It gives light. This could hurt. Maybe it could be a weapon. And who knows? Maybe it can cook my food, right? They probably got that later, right? But someone got burned, and someone figured out that's not a bad thing for me. That's a really bad thing for you, because I'm going to put it on a stick, right? So I'm not saying innovate fire, but if you don't look at fire differently, you don't get civilization. You see what I'm saying? So what can we look at differently is the mother of all these questions. Now, what can you use? What was the internet used for in the early days of the internet? Cat photos. Meow, right? Exciting, And eBay, did you guys go to eBay? eBay decided, no, we're going to use the internet for commerce. You see? So I'm not saying invent eBay, it's already been done. But if you're not asking, when you're dealing with a complex issue, what can we use that we're not using? A relationship, a skill, a location. You are leaving ideas on the table and you're leaving money on the table. So use is the second big one. Move, right? This is me in high school, very lonely. The dandruff, the women, no chicks for me. This is spoken language. That always gets a laugh, right? He looks sad, right? Primitive man, language was this. What I'm doing right now, out of my mouth, through the air, into your ears and your minds, right? That's pretty good. But if you ask implicitly or explicitly, where can we move language? You put it on paper, it's so much stronger, right? This now lasts time and space. We don't have to explain why written language is important. And I'm not saying innovative, but this is the sleeper question. If you are not asking about your own business or work, what can we move in time? Do we have a meeting? Maybe it should be more frequently, less frequently, shorter, longer. It occur at different times in the year. Amazing in the workshops I've done how things are not in the right time they should be, and also space. What can we move? Maybe we move this job from you to you. Maybe it's a different location. Maybe we move a certain type of 3D printer to a different location. Maybe this group should report to somebody else. So move is the one question that I really was surprised keeps popping up in the research. But I guarantee if you ask what can we move about your own work, you're going to get some interesting ideas. Interconnect is pretty obvious. Okay, this is the spear, right? The pointed stick. A stick is good, but if I sharpen it, even more deadly, right? So we thought we were pretty brilliant to invent a spear, right? Pretty good, right? How long do you think it took us to realize that, wait a minute, if we attach this to a bow, it's even better. It took us 391,000 years. Do you get the point? We don't do this naturally all the time. This is still amazing to me, but I've researched this twice. So it took us this long to think about interconnecting things that are sharp with things that go boing. Right? But no, it changed warfare forever. So my point is that ideas that are this powerful are right here, but we're looking this way. This is true with all the questions. What the ideas that the questions will bring are like this. They're right here. But I'm looking at you. The genome questions make you go like this, and there's the idea. This idea was right next to this. Do you see? How hard is that? But it took us almost 400,000 years to get there. So that's my dramatic way of saying that don't think just because you recognize these questions that using them does not add value. That's the surprising thing in this whole thing. Okay, altar. This used to be music, right? Classical music. One of the aspects of it was you play what's written down. Okay, they threw that out with jazz, right? And I'm not saying invent jazz, but certainly you should always be thinking, what can we alter in terms of design and performance? What can we make? Integrated circuits. Sometimes things are new, right? I don't want to say that everything is a blend of something else. The integrated circuit changed the world. I think money is an example of something new, in a way. The zero is part of mathematics, but there's a bunch of them that pop up that are just new. And this is also funny. In sophisticated companies, whenever I ask someone, all right, what can we make? Can you guess what the response is? People say, we have everything we need, right? I say, no, you don't. Did you make a video about that last thing? Oh, that would be good. Do you have an advisory board for that? Oh, that would be good too. Should we create a little lab about something? Should we create T-shirts that illustrate our point? Should we when you ask what can we make, and again, don't take my word for it. If you try it, you will find things that you should create fresh and new that will help your work. And then finally, imagine. Computing was kind of like this, and Steve Jobs, among other people, mostly him, had this idea, the imagine. Imagine, remember when I said there were 7 questions, then 6, then 7? We took imagine off for a while, but it kept popping back up, right? I'm talking to you, right?
Yeah.
Because imagine is when you imagine a great experience and you have no rational reason why you should. You guys know Dr. Martin Luther King, right? Right, global figure. He had no right to imagine civil rights. People were turning hoses on black people and hitting them with dogs. It was a crazy time, but I had a dream. I have a dream, right? So imagine is important because imagine helps you to break the bounds of what you think is possible. This is the last question because you should end with, all right, let's just go as crazy as possible. Silicon Valley is built on this question, by the way. So that's why it's the last one. It's the wildest one, and it's the most possibilities, right? So, and here are some other examples of the research that falls into here. I could go through these offline. I find this very interesting. Anyway, I won't go through them, but we have done maybe 200 innovations by now. This is just a handful. So they really do fall into these questions, right? If you want to take a picture. I don't know if you're getting anything there. Okay, so so how do you use the questions? You can use them as a list. You can use them as this thing, right? Put that in the middle. You might say, how do I remember this? Who knows what a SWOT analysis is? Everyone should raise their hand to help, right? Who doesn't know what a SWOT analysis is? All right, there are people not raising their hands here. I can tell. So this is a cultural thing or what? SWOT analysis, right? Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. I have my own version of that. If this presentation crashes now, I hope you could remember this, even without me giving you the presentation. Look, use, move, interconnect, alter, make, imagine. La 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 la. Lumiami. Who's ever been to Miami? Lou from Miami. That's what you remember. You want to be innovative? I'm Lou from Miami. I'm trying to innovate for you, right? I'm Lou from Miami, right? Now you'll remember, everyone in this room will remember it. You might not get them all right, but my point is I, of course, have this memorized. If you invited me to brainstorm right now, I can do it. I have SWOT analysis in my head, and I have Lumiami in my head, right? And I could put your problem in the middle and put the whole thing and say, all right, what can we look at differently? Like that, right? No one has to write anything down until it's on the board. So this is my sort of, way to help you remember that particular one, right? Okay, how are we on time? Another 15 minutes?
About that.
All right, I'm going to skip this one. This is intriguing. Who's ever seen the TV show Game of Thrones? Anybody? Okay, this is a tweak on that. If anyone's interested in how Game of Thrones relates to innovation, you can email me about it. It's just going to take too long, right? Basically, I won't go into it. But it's interesting, but I don't have time for it. Okay, so here's the 7 questions, right? But Bill, surely there are more than 7 questions. Thank you for asking that. I put it in the presentation. Thank you, sir. Thank you for asking that. I heard your question and put it in my presentation. Yes, there are. There are 49. Does anyone see? Can you see what this is? Okay. You have an innovation target over here. You are wrestling with, say you're wrestling with something, how do we break into the African market, right? Where do we start? With Kenya? That's your wrestling. And you say, Bill, I did the brainstorm. I said, what can we look at differently? But I want more. I went down the line. I'll say this, okay? Say now you own a business, right?
Yes.
Give me an example of a complex challenge you have, or have had. Just one.
Have a mortgage for our kind of technology. We built a house and we didn't have a mortgage for it in Brazil.
You didn't have the mortgage?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So let's say that you didn't have that, right? And do you have it now?
Yes.
Okay, so you solved it. But back then when you were wrestling with that, that's a good example. So you say, Bill, we don't have the mortgage. And I say, what can you look at differently? Get some ideas? And you say, oh, that's some good ideas. I want more. I say, okay, let's look at ways to look at things. Have you looked at it from a higher level? Benjamin Franklin looked at the American colonies and he saw America. This comes up in the research. When you look higher, great ideas. What can we reverse or look at inversely? That's powerful. This is a great one, a value shift. What do we think is bad about our problem that might be good? What do we think is good that might be bad? That is really powerful because that breaks you out of your normal way of thinking, right? How would a kid look at it? Who's ever used this one? This is a great question. I've never seen this fail. If you say, what would a kid do? the answers are powerful because they're usually direct. Adults are too complicated. A kid just goes like that, right? So my point is, look, you don't have to use any of this, and you can just use the 7. But if you want all of the ideas possible, then you can ask these. If you don't ask what would a kid do, you're leaving ideas on the table. And the way I almost started this presentation is to say, today ideas, this is rhetorical, who's interested in having a great career? Everybody. Who's interested in helping the world? All right. To have a great career and help the world, you need ideas. All of us, when we look back on our lives and careers, probably, if we're really successful, what, 2 to 4 big ideas, right? That's what determines everything from the fate of your company to the fate of the world. So my point is, look, if you're going to have a brainstorming session, you should ask at least the 7, but why wouldn't you ask this powerful question? Or how about this? What could we ignore that everyone else knows is true? Who's ever heard of Copernicus? Every hand, right? I'm assuming you're Copernicus, right?
What's the name, Billy?
Copernicus?
Copernicus.
Yeah, okay. He said, I'm sorry, Catholic Church, I know that we all know that the earth is the center, but it's really the sun, right? And I'm not saying invent heliocentricity. It's been done. But it is very powerful to say, what can we ignore that everyone else knows is true? If you ask that question and you do not, you are going to be more flexible. You are going to be more like, oh, that's the way it is, right? And these blinders are more powerful than we think. But if you ask it, you knock out the blinders. You can get more ideas, right? Finally, what can you look at in a holistic way? So the point here is just, and I could go through more and more, but every one of these questions gets you different ideas. Now, there's an 80-20 rule, Pareto principle. If you only have an hour or 10 minutes, ask the 7 questions. Lou Miami, right? Not that hard. But if you have more time, I encourage you to experiment with these. He's going to leave our research team, but the next team is going to research how these 49 questions work. So my point is try it, but certainly try the 7, right? So the 7 is the main thing. Different and better and wilder ideas. Now, innovation tool number 2. Okay, so you've generated some innovative ideas. Now what? Who can remember the second one? Now what do you have to do? Someone should remember. Generate and then what? I'll give a cookie to anyone that gets this right. Prioritize, right? Yeah. What's that?
Implement.
What's that?
Implement.
Implement. That's the third thing. The first. So do I have it up here? Yeah. Here we go. Generate the ideas. Prioritize, right? As a thing, and then implement them, right? So in my experience too, there are tools that help you generate ideas. Most of them I don't think are that good. There are not a lot of tools that help you to prioritize. Let's say we've done a brainstorming session where we've generated. So you had a mortgage thing, right? Use the genome, 7 questions alone. You generated 47 ideas. How do you know which one to pursue? You might have a gut feeling. If we had 47 ideas up there and I said, don't look at the board. What's the best 3 ideas? You can do it. The mind knows. But let's do better than that, right? Let's do a systematic way to say, what should we pursue and what should we not pursue, right? So this is the Wild World Innovation Prioritizer, or the WHIP. See, I got a cool name for it. Right? How do you say WHIP?
Chicote.
I knew that, of course, yes. Yes, so the WHIP, right? So here's what you do, right? Now, okay, let's pretend for a second. Let's say that this group had used the 7 questions on a very complex challenge. And I'm going to use a round number. We generated 50 ideas, 50. I've generated 100 ideas on that whiteboard, you know, in recent times. So let's picture you have 50 ideas, right? I have a bag of tricks, and I can say, okay, let's circle the best ones. And then you rate them, and you tell me what you like. And we do red is the best. And, you know, there are tricks and ways to do it. But this is a new trick to help you prioritize, right? So let's say idea number 17. You ask 2 questions about it. First you say, how wild is it? Okay? Now by wild, I don't mean like crazy Mardi Gras. The reason wild is important is different means competitive advantage. All right? That's what I mean. If you come up with an idea and I say, it's not a bad idea, but a lot of people are thinking about it, I'd probably rate it as a 3. It's not that wild. If you come up with an idea and I go, that is just crazy. That's a good response. That's nuts. But could that work? That's maybe a 9, right? So can you guys picture it? First you say, how wild is it? And then you say, how worldly is it? How practical is it? How real is this? And when I coached in a competition, I'm not going to explain the Hult Prize, right? Recently, I coached a business team, and part of it, that came out of this. I said, look, I was part of a business contest. I said, here's why as a judge, I'll give you bad marks for your startup idea. If it's not wild, why bother, right? What are you doing? You're shooting for $1 million prize. If it's not wild, I give you low marks. But if it's not worldly, I give you low marks. That's a fantasy. If you're just, it's nice to dream, but if it's not worldly at all, you know, that's not going to work either. So here's how you can do it, right? Let's say idea number 1 is a 3-3. It's not that wild, and it's kind of hard to do. What would you guys do? Would you do that idea, yes or no? Yes or no? Who thinks no? Who thinks yes? Okay, the answer is no. This is stupid to do. Stupid. It's not that wild, so everyone's doing it, and it's hard to do. So you should just forget those ideas. So anything that falls in this camp, and look, you can fudge it. If it's a 4-4, maybe you try it, right? But basically, these are bad ideas, okay? And the crowd can rate them, or you can do it on your own. Now, the next set is, these are ideas that are, this is terrible. This is not that great either, right? These are, yeah, they're not that wild, but they're pretty implementable, right? You know, they're not that wild, but you could do them. They might have some incremental value. So that's getting a little better, but it's still not where we want to be. This is getting more interesting, right? That's a wild idea. It's just kind of hard to do, right? So that's getting a little better, and you can see probably, I call them the double sevens, right? If you have an idea that is rated either by you as an individual or the crowd as a double 7, that means that's a pretty wild idea. That's kind of crazy, and also that's kind of doable, right? So here's what I say you should do, right? These, don't do them, right? And look, we have to move quickly. You've got to make choices quickly. Don't do these. You can improve and move these, right? This one you should say, all right, this is a crazy idea. It's not that practical. What can we do to make it more practical? And you know what you can use for that? The 7 questions. You see how it loops around? So now you can say, all right, this idea, how do we make it more practical? What can we look at differently? What can we use, right? This, you say, all right, this is not so wild, but it's doable. How can we make it wilder? How can we ride on the practicality, get something cool in there, right? And again, you just do these. Does this make sense so far? So again, I'm saying if you have 50 ideas from the other thing, now, and we tried this at a future conference we did in Boston, that I was one of the designers. And of course it went like this. I say, all right, this idea, how wild is it? And everyone yelled it out. It was not scientific, right? And people would yell at 3, 9, 8, whatever. And I would say, all right, shut up already, it's a 6, okay? How worldly is it? 8, 2, 1, all right, quiet, it's a 5, okay? So I did it like this, but of course you can do it more scientifically, right? And the point is with both the 7 questions and this matrix, you can do it by yourself, or you can do it in a group. It works both ways. But the point is, remember we said generate ideas and then prioritize them. You can leave out of 50 ideas, I bet you're going to get between 3 to 4 up here. And now here's a metric for innovation, right? What drives me crazy is the term ROI. Does that return on investment, right? I see some heads going, right? What's the return on innovation, ROI? Nobody has a number usually, right? Remember my cliches? A culture of innovation. You can't measure that. That's not going to help. So this is a new number. You have a brainstorming session. Usually I say, how was your brainstorming session? And it's 2 things. You say, it was pretty good, or no, it wasn't that good, right? It's a 0 or a 1. With this, what I'm proposing and we're testing is, hey, how many double 7s did you get? I got 3. That's a pretty good meeting. We got none. Oh, so it was a failure, right? You got 9 double 7s? You must have been rating them a little highly, but that's pretty good. Do you see the point? This is a way not just to measure what happens, but I mean, this is what we're going to test next year. I'm going to go into brainstorming sessions, and if you can't get 3, then something is wrong. The wrong people are in the room, right? Or the challenge is weird. So I don't know the exact numbers, but the point is, this is at least a way to measure this. So I say, if you remember nothing else from me today, other than OPA is one thing you remember from me, I would like you to remember, and I can send this to you too, the 7 essential innovation questions are the SEEK, right? Lou Miami, right? Lou from Miami. If this crashes now, you'll get Lou from Miami, right? That's really a New York accent, but you know, what the hell? Or you can remember Wild World. 10-10 Wild World, that's it. And so if you were crashed on a desert island and you had to innovate, who's ever seen Gilligan's Island? Did you guys ever see that show? No, they don't see it?
What's the show? What's the name?
Gilligan's Island?
Oh, it's very long
People,
ago, right?
oh, I'm 50 years, I'm old, right? They're shipwrecked on an island. They should have used the questions, right? So if you're shipwrecked on an island trying to get off the island, without any PowerPoint, you could say Lou Miami, and you could ask the questions, and you could prioritize them as well. Now, also for next year is, remember the third thing is, I think you said implement, right? So we are also, the next tool will probably be around implementation, okay? But for now, we have a tool on generation, we have a tool on prioritization. So those are the things I'd like you to remember. This is some of the coverage in the media that the Genome has had. And again, I can send anyone the presentation. Forbes, Fast Company, Innovation Excellence, and there's actually a film about the Innovation Genome, where it's a 3-minute film that was entered in the Sundance contest. So if you want to read more, this is where you go. And again, this might not show up well, so I can send you the presentation. And then that's where you can contact me if you want, Bill O'Connor. And that's it. That's all I have. I hope you try it and let me know what. Oh, get in?
Come back. The
Oh, okay.
Return the-
I thought you were saying get in the photo. Yes, and I'm not kidding. I would like anybody that wants to try this. This is being tried in 11 countries right now. That's my latest statistic. 11 countries are trying this out. I think Brazil has a growing economy. Let's get some of the let's get some genome ideas out there. Okay, and that's it. I'm done. Thank you. We got to go in 2 minutes. We have to go now.
Yeah, just a few. Yeah, I guess.
Okay. So questions or not? All right, a few questions, if any.
When you have a double seven,
Apresentação.
is it,
All right, let me check him and then him. So you, yeah.
when you have a double seven, is it possible for having a blue ocean?
It's like blue ocean, exactly. Yeah.
But is it possible? Because if it's very innovative but easy to do, everyone could do it.
Well,
Or it's easy for your company doing it.
if it's novel and really new, and it's doable, right? That's a good point. That doesn't mean you have it all to yourself. It means you should pursue it. That's the difference, right? I mean, competitive advantage. When you say how wild is it, what I mean is if she's thinking of it, I say your idea is an 8 because I haven't heard that idea a lot. If it's an 8, it's almost new idea. You see, so that's why it's got to be both. I think. So when you say blue ocean, it doesn't mean I rate an idea as wild when it's almost like I haven't heard it before. If she blows my mind with an idea, then it gets like an 8. If it's kind of good, if I make this face, I give it a 5. That's pretty good. I've heard some people are talking about that. You get that in Silicon Valley a lot. Hey, that's a good idea, but I know 5 guys that are already working on it. Then it's a 3. But if she says something, so I haven't even heard that idea. The other day. I heard an idea the other day I'd never heard of before. Of course, I can't remember it, which is probably a bad sign. But I would have given it a 9. I just had never heard it before. That's wild. And then you decide how worldly it is. Yeah. So does that make sense? Yes. For him?
It's just that I would suggest having a worldly. It depends on your capabilities. So within your company,
Worldly for you.
It is worldly for
Yes.
you. It is practical
Yes.
for you.
The world.
Then you get a blue ocean.
Yes.
Yes, that's a good point. And it's right. It's not only out in the world. It's can we do it?
Yes.
How based on it's almost like is it based in the real world? So you might say, "Gee, that's a great idea. It theoretically is doable. We can't do it. We cannot do it." But the nice thing is, if she can do it, and you can't or don't want to, competitive advantage. So I don't want to just say words. Wild is not like crazy colors. If you have a wild idea, you are ready to beat him, or vice versa. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Okay. Did he have a question?
No, he just told me to tell you to send the presentation to him, and he'll just forward it to everyone else.
Okay. Can to who?
I got it.
You got it?
Marcus,
Okay. Yeah. Can I send it to you?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, good. You got it. Okay.
You send it to me, I'll send it
Is
to
it
you.
Marcus? Okay.
All right.
All right. We got maybe one more minute. Other questions? Any insults? I'm from New York. I like insults. Why not?
Inovação, você acredita
Innovation, you believe it.
que se desenvolve nas pessoas
People.
através do ensinamento, de uma disciplina, de uma educação,
Discipline of education. application
Ou a pessoa já nasce com uma
Okay, I see what you mean.
predisposição
Okay.
inovadora, empreendedora.
Is it nature or nurture? Is it just natural or you learn, right? I think the easy answer is both, right? In my experience, and not just from this, I've been in Silicon Valley for 20 years. When I think about that question, I think there are people who are naturally innovative, but the cool thing is, the reason they're innovative is they ask these questions. I'm trying to, if Fred is not innovative, Fred's just like this. I'm trying to help Fred get the same benefit as the crazy innovator, right? So I think there's some natural difference, absolutely. But I also think that through the application of techniques, you can get better at it. And I would challenge you guys, see if I'm wrong. I think anyone that I know could innovate with these 7 questions. Who knows a dumb person? Anybody? You might think I'm looking at one right now, right? Okay. If even a dumb person, if they ask the question, all right, I'm sort of dumb, or I like to say the drunk, tired person at the meeting, right? Someone just, or hungover, not drunk, hungover. Someone walks in, oh God, I'm tired. Oh, all right, what can I look at differently? You see, your eyebrows go up. So I think when you, even if you're not innovative, or you're hungover, whatever it is, I think using tools and techniques can help. I will take a swipe at general education, university. Part of the reason this has got people that like it is that universities, in my opinion, teach innovation pretty badly. It's a lot of theory, it's a lot of abstractions, and it's a lot of ibnu. It's a lot of interesting but not useful. And so my answer would be traditional education? I don't know. Useful tools? Yes. That makes sense? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Maybe one more and then I think we have to go.
Yes, please.
Yes, okay. Or that's it. Yeah, okay, okay.
Do you use this type of thing in Autodesk?
Yes, I can happily say yes. Probably 5 or 6 different groups have used it. My most important project at Autodesk, it's Autodesk University. We have 9,000 people come to Las Vegas, our best customers, and I create a show on stage with the CEO, the Chief Technology Officer, and the Head of Strategy. I applied these questions to that work, and we came up with 7 ideas, and some of them were quite wild, and one of them has become a major part of that project. So I can say, I'm not just talking about this, I'm using this all the time. I use the questions on the innovation genome itself. See if it's recursive that way. And inside Autodesk, I think 5 or 6 different groups have used it. Autodesk customers have started using it. The sad thing is, it works better if I'm helping. You see? I like to think you guys could take the questions, but I realize like I'm a part of it. I'm trying to get me out of it. I'm trying to make it very simple. That desert island, Lumiami, you guys could do it. But the thing is, that's only half successful. Right now it's better if I'm at the board generating the ideas, but we're working to make it so that I don't have to be there. But yes, so people do use it inside Autodesk. I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you for coming, and email me with any questions. Thank you very much.
O Marcos tem meu e-mail também, se alguém quiser ajuda com alguma coisa.
Obrigado,
Até
obrigado.
que dia vocês estão aqui?
Até sábado.
Até sábado.
Aqui em São Francisco até hoje.
São Francisco até hoje. Tá. Aproveita.
Vamos tirar uma foto. What's that?
Take a picture.
Oh, photos? Okay.